Aloha kako. Before we start, we just wanted to ask if you guys could put in the chat where you guys are from or where you guys are logging on from, so we know where you guys are from. And we're just excited to be here today. Before we start, we just wanted to start with the pule pale, where we can just ask for protection, ask for to pale us during this time as we grow our ike and grow our knowledge. So mai ka piko a ke po'o a ka poli o ka wāwai a la'a mana kihi e ha o ke kino. Okay, let's see. Aloha, I see people from Kanaeokana, from Wailuku, Maui, Kailua. Keep putting in the chat where you guys are from, where you guys are logging on from. But to start, we're just very excited to be here with all of you today to launch our webinar series of Ola i ʻAimalama. This webinar series will help us expand and deepen our knowledge of and our understanding of the importance of our cultural practices that is relevant to the theme of ki, or la'i, or tea leaf. To start, aloha o au o likolehua Fujiwara no nu'uanu maiau. And before we move any further, we would just like to mahalo, and we're grateful for OHA, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, for sponsoring us for this month-long event. We would also like to mahalo Dr. Kalei Nuʻuhiwa and Malia Nobrega Kalei of ʻAimalama for the kilo frames that we'll be using today. And we're also grateful for the support of Kanaeokana, Dr. Kehawa Bad and Kaipo Kiaha, helping us set up with this Zoom webinar so we can all share ike and share it worldwide. But last but not least, we would also like to mahalo all of you that logged on today for choosing to spend your time with us and to learn and deepen and expand our ike of Hawaii.
Mahalo, aloha mai kako, o wau na ala Medeiros, no honoliuli o Ahualua Maiau, and o wau ke kakao mo olelo. It is an honor and a privilege to be here with you folks. Thank you for spending time and choosing to be with us. So let me give you a really quick snapshot. Who is Papahana Aloha ʻAina? So we were actually founded and have been a platform from a very young Hawaiian young lady who's also a Papa Alakai member of us. And her focus has always been, and her platforms have been Aloha ʻAina, malama and care for our land, our ocean, and our people. And so when you see across our banners, you'll see Pa'ako Hawaii, Pa'ako Hawaii, ke Aloha ʻAina. It was really meant to garnish the love and care for our ʻAina. And we're doing it through what we call our SSL. If you're a techie, you probably know about that secret socket, layer. But what we do is we build and engage in leadership and our youth, and we create opportunities through scholarship, which is education, through stewardship, actual hands-on activities and collaborations in our community, and more importantly, leadership. So it's a development of creating and developing change agents that are young and our youth and our young Hawaii Opio. So a lot of the members on our committee and on our Papa Alakai Opio have launched this event in honor of our love for Aloha ʻAina. And what's also really appropriate is today is the 20th anniversary. Why would we launch something in November? Well, today happens to be Lonoi Kamakahiki for us as Kanaka Hawaii, the season of abundance of our ʻAina. But what also happened, the United Nations also recognizes that in wars, land has been exploited in war and conflict. And so today is another 20th anniversary of what can we do to continue to prevent and to malama and to care for our natural resources, our waterways, which are so important to malama. And for us, our forests here and our understories and our waterways. So it became a great way to align, to introduce and to launch our series of Ola i ʻAina. And so again, mahalo for being with us. I'm going to introduce Kaliko back to share our speakers and introduce you to our guest speakers today and our team, our OPO team. Mahalo.
Okay. So first we have Dr. Noelani Io Guerrero. She is Associate Professor at University of Hawaii at Hilo. She is a Preschool Program Director with Aha Punana Leo Kula Kamali'i. And she's also Kumuhula for Papa Lehua Mamo at Napua Lei Olikulehua. And her husband, Anakala Kapono Iokepo Guerrero, is a he's a lieutenant federal firefighter or works for the federal fire department. His ike of Hawaii comes from his tutu, his makua kane, and his hanai ohana that raised him when he was younger. And he continues to increase his ike and his love for aloha ʻāina by working hands-on with the ʻāina. Their ohana, and this ohana is grounded in ike Hawaii and has raised their children in olelo makuahine, aloha ʻāina, and they're aloha ʻāina advocate from uka to kai, and they're just an overall wonderful family. So no laila, we're very excited to introduce Uncle Kapono and Auntie Noelani.
Loha mai kako o Kapono Iokepa Guerrero ko inoa e kama mai keia ʻāina o ahu nei no Honolulu uli ewa mai au ke manawa no ho wau ma Kalu'u Kaneohe me ka ohana. Loha kako, my name is Kapono Iokepa Guerrero. I am from Oahu, from Honolulu, born and raised on the Ewa side. Now I live with my family in Kalu'u Kaneohe. Mahalo.
Ai, velina me ke aloha ia ka ko'apau o wau ki ia o Noelani Iokepa Guerrero. He kupa o ka ua lani pili ma ka moku nui o Hawaii. E anae noho a hanei ia ma ka ua po ai hala helele I maila I ke ia manawa a po mai ka I maila ka ohana ka hale o kahalu'u I ka ua po ai hala ma ka ho'omaka o ke ia aha ha'i o lelo no ke kia. He ho'ai lona ke ia nā kāne I mea ho'opo mai ka'i mai ia kako kanaka. Aloha, I'm Noelani Iokepa Guerrero. And mahalo nui to you, Liko Lehua, for introducing us and for saying some nice things about us. We're basically just here as servants and kanaka kako'o I ka lahui, na kanaka kako'o I na mea Hawaii. Ke ano o Keola, ke ano ka hā Hawaii, I ke ia maula, no ka ho'o mau I kia ike I ka hanauna hou, no kia muaku. A mahalo nui ia kako ka hui ana I ke ia kakahiaka po aono. Just really quickly, I wanted to make a brief correction. I used to be the director at the Punana Leo preschools. I still am connected with our Punana Leo and the Aha Punana Leo, and that will always be part of my ohana. But currently I'm at the university, as Liko Lehua had mentioned, and continue to support the Punana Leo through teacher development and through sharing with our kumu and our ohana in the Punana Leo. And wanted to do a shout out to the Aukahi Olelo Hawaii, from the Punana Leo to all of our kula kaya olelo and all of our kula ho'amana Hawaii, a pela pu a ke kula nui. Na wahi a pau e malama mai ka'iana, a ho'ola mai ka'iana I ka olelo makuahine o kia ʻāina. Ai, o kia lahui. Ai. Ano leila, bear with us. We are going to put up our slides. We created some slides to share. And let me get that up for us. And Kapono and I are just going to talk a little bit about some of the cultural significance and the mo'aukala of ki and la'i. And we will be sharing about the propagation. And so I know some of you have, if you registered earlier, before the end of October, you should have received in the mail, you should have received a packet. And we'll be going over some of those things that were sent in the packet. If you did not register earlier on, that's fine. It's okay. The packet was not needed for the webinar series and for our presentation. It was just additional supplemental materials that we were able to get out to you, and just as a mahalo to those who were able to pre-register ahead of time. But we'll go over some of those today in our brief presentation with you folks. So let me go ahead and share screen. And I apologize, my screen and my slides will not be in presenter mode, just because sometimes I have technical difficulties going through that. So hopefully you folks can all see my slide. Yeah, Hikino? Mekai? Okay, so like I said, we are really going to go over taking this first webinar session today with you folks, the first of 4 throughout the month of November, to really look at the cultural significance and some mo'okala and where ki or tea leaf is in our culture and in some of our mo'olelo. And then talk a little bit about propagation, how we can grow and malama the ki. And so we're doing that this month, and mahalo to Lena Ala for sharing a little bit about some of the special times and some of the special moments this month. And really, November is a big month for healing for our po'e oiwi, right? And so I'm not sure if you know, but November is National Native American Heritage Month, right? And so we want to celebrate all of our po'e oiwi, ke ho'i na oiwi o Amerika. No ka ike kupuna, ka ike oiwi e ola mauana i keia maula. Yeah, the importance of our oiwi of America and what we do as a foundation and what we contribute as a foundation of what makes us so special, right? And so November is National Native American Heritage Month. Lena Ala did mention that today specifically is the International Day for preventing the exploitation of the environment in war and armed conflict. Now, Papahana Aloha ʻAina is all about Aloha ʻAina. We're about making sure that we safeguard our natural resources. And our natural resources, of course, include our ʻAina. It includes our vai, our water. It includes our kai, and all living things on the earth, on our honua. But our natural resources also include our kanaka, right? And so this day that is recognized by the United Nations, and I believe Lena Ala said we're the 20th year anniversary of recognizing this. It's shown that in conflict, our natural resources are a big victim of war and conflict that we see. And himo haumia, himo mea maikai ole no ka ʻaina ea. And so we want to make sure that we remember that while we heal as a kanaka, we also need to heal as an ʻaina, as an environment, as a honua. And so today we start off ola i ka ʻaina, or finding life, thriving through our ʻaina, through our land, through our environment. We start that vision off through this webinar series, recognizing the importance of our ʻaina and recognizing that our ʻaina is just as much in need of care as our kanaka is, especially in times of conflict and war. And then, of course, for our kanaka Hawaii out there who are joining in, we know that November 28th, the end of this month, is our Lā Kuʻokoʻa, our Hawaii Independence Day. This occurred back in 1843 under the reign of our King Kauwenaole, Kamehameha III. And this was the day that Hawaii was recognized as an independent nation. We were recognized by France and England as an independent nation amongst the nations of the world. And so all of these special days in this month of November is a form of healing for us Kanaka. It's a form of breaking through na mea I haumia paha mai ia kākou, I haumia mai ia kākou ma kekahi ano ea. And so we've decided then that for our very first Ole I ka ʻAina series, that we would look at then a plant that's used in many ways, but specifically for healing, and used a lot in many various ways for healing. And that's the ki. That's the la'au ki, also known as a meakanu ki, lau ki for its leaf, la'i, which most of us know it as, for its leaf, and most commonly known today as a tea leaf. And here's its scientific name, the Cordyline terminalis. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but we're going to talk a little bit about the tea leaf today, and all month. And why are we looking at the tea leaf besides its form of healing for us as Kanaka, besides it providing us with many things that we need to live every day. It's providing us from the ʻāina all the different tools that we can use and we can sustain ourselves. And some of the reasons why we're looking at the tea leaf and some of its importance lies in its uses and its connection to some of our akua. And so in doing some of the research, you see that the tea leaf is associated with a number of akua, And when I say akua, we're talking about elemental forces that support Kanaka, elemental forces that give to us from the environment to provide for us and is the kua for us Kanaka, so that we are sustained and we can thrive in today. And so we see that, and I'm not going to say that it's necessarily a kino lau of any of these akua, but we do know that they are associated with these akua, and the first being Kane. And most likely the association with Kane is because of the la'i and the tea leaves healing powers. And for those who do a lot of la'au lapa'au, and we're going to actually have a whole session on November 27th on healing and healing traditions with la'i. But we understand that there's many uses for the la'i in our healing practices. We also know on the scientific side that, and on the energy side, that tea leaf is considered a crystalline energy. For those of you who understand what that means, it's very much a crystalline energy such as pa'akai. And crystalline energies, crystalline elements help to support the spirit and the connection to our environment. And so thus has a connection to also the healing properties for Kanaka. We also know that la'i, specifically the la'i mele mele, or the yellow tea leaf, is associated with haumea, the mother of birthing and new life. And you can't see it because of my my background, but I'm wearing some of haumea and some of kane actually in my hair. Mahalo nui I ka'u kane, ka'u kiki kane o Maui kana hili viki haku viki ana I ke ia wahi lei no ke po'o. So we know that la'i mele mele is associated with haumea. We know that the Lono priests and some of the Lono class use also the la'i as a kahili ki, and in their healing as well and in their practices. And so we know the association of the la'i, the ki, with Lono, and also with agriculture. For those who are hula dancers, we see that there's a strong connection of the ki with laka and the traditions of hula. It's used in many of our vehi hula. And 2 weeks from now, we will have Kumuniuli'i Haini, who will speak more about la'i and hula traditions. So make sure you're a part of that as well. And also through mo'olelo, we see the association of the tili for the la'i in mo'olelo with pele, where it's used as a pale, specifically for hale. And people plant the ki. We would plant the ki at the four posts or four corners of our hale, our pahale, as a symbol there and as a protection. And also, maybe many might not know, but the tea leaf or the ki also has connection to Kamapua'a. And in Kamapua'a's mele inoa, which was done by his grandmother at one point, likens the ki kea or the white tea to Kamapua'a as possibly one of his forms. And so we know that in our traditions, in our traditions of mo'olelo, that we have the connection of la'i and tea leaf to these different akua. We also know, as I said, that it is a la'au lapa'au plant for healing, and also a la'au ola kanaka. Now, what's interesting though is that the tea leaf is it's not native to Hawaii. It actually it's a mea kanu va'a. So it came with our ancestors on the va'a, and they brought it with them from, there's different places that the la'i is from New Holani, from Australia, Asia Hikina Hema, which is the Southeast Asia, and also other parts of Polynesia. And our po'e realized the importance of la'i, the significance and all the many uses of it, and thus brought it with them as one of the plants that they chose to bring to their new home here in Hawaii. And so la'i, or the ki, the mea kanu ki, is not native here in Hawaii, but was brought to Hawaii by our Kanaka Polynesia. And so, as I said, there are other mo'olelo that you can find the key associated with, and you'll see in Kalapana, in some of the mo'olelo for Pele, in the mo'olelo of Laie Kawai, which you were listening to the music a little bit earlier, in the mele for Kamapua'a, and also some mo'olelo for the mano and the mo'o. And so I'll really quickly, because my kane will be going on soon, I'll really quickly go through some of these mo'olelo where you can actually find ki mentioned as an important part in the mo'olelo. So here in Kalapana, you see that Kalapana erected a pa la'i, a pa ki, I should say, with poku ki. And so here he created a fence, a key fence. In Laie Kawai, if you're familiar with the mele, the connection to the tea leaf is around what we call the pu lau-i, or the pu lau-ki. It's a whistle. It's a whistle made with the tea leaf, and you roll it up and you use it. And I had the video, but I don't think we have the time to show that. And you use it as a whistle. And in Laie Kawai, it was a hone hone of this whistle that really called to the maidens. And so you'll have links shared in the chat and in the Facebook comments to some of these mo'olelo of Kalapana and Laie Kawai, so that you can continue to do more research and read up more on tea leaf in some of these mo'olelo. We also see it in the mele inoa that I mentioned for Kamapua'a. And here you'll see both the Hawaiian and the English translation. And mahalo to Esther Mo'okini. She did this translation of mo'olelo no Kamapua'a. It's in Mahele, or Mokuna Ekolu, Helu Ekolu, where you'll see the actual mele inoa for Kamapua'a, and where they actually mention the key care for Kamapua'a. And so again, that will be shared in our chat and in our Facebook as well. So you see that our tea leaf plant, although not native, has made its way through our traditions because of its importance, because of its uses. And some of the uses, as we'll see in the next few weekends, we'll see uses of it for me'ai, and for the preparation of me'ai. We'll see it being used for hula. We'll see how the tea leaf is used as la'au, lapa'o, or for healing, or for lomi, and different healing practices. We see that it's also used as a pale for the kino, for kuila'i or ahuua, for kama'ala'i, ha'u akola'i for the kaupoku, and also as a pale for the waimakalehua. La'i is used for halihali, to halihali things, as a pu'olo, as a ilika'ala'i, as a different ponohana, and definitely as a mea le'ale'a. And so here's some slides of a mea le'ale'a that the la'i was used for. It's called the ho'ohe'e ki, and it was as early as recent as 1908, as you see here, that our Kanaka still use that as a pastime, and it's tea leaf sliding down long hills. And so you see that that was another pastime using the tea leaf. And here, my last slide is some examples. And Maui and Kapono went through kind of making some of these over the past week. You can see a kaula, a pulumi or a broom, the kama'a made all with tea leaf. And then you see what we don't usually see these days, but this harness. And this harness is called an ili ka'ala'i. And it was used to carry things on your body. Either are the warriors to carry weapons, or if you're up in the kuahivi and say you alu pua'a and you need to carry the pua'a back down, you can quickly create a kaula and this ili to help you keep the pua'a on your back and harness that to your back so you can bring it back down. So I know our time is short, and there's so much more about la'i, and I really want to ask you folks to join us the next few weekends to learn more about la'i, and in preparation for that, so that you can grow your own and you can have la'i in your own backyard. Na kapono e ho'omau ma ka nana ana I ka ho'ulu ana ka mahi a me ke kanu ana I ka mea kanu ki.
Okay, mahalo. So my portion is propagation or planting tea leaf or ki, the tea leaf plant. I got to bring this guy into the picture when I talk about planting. This is my dad, Earl Ku'ualoha Guerrero Elua or Jr. He was a kahu'umu for our family or our ohana, the one that he would make imu for us. But from my earliest memories, he was the first one that I can remember of that really taught me how to plant plants, or even planting tea leaf or any type of Hawaiian plant. He learned from his tutu man. His tutu man was Tutu Kalua, and my dad is originally from Nanakuli, 6 Road. So that's my earliest memories of planting. When he planted, he usually planted by the moon, by the Mahina, when it was best to plant. We would do a pule mua or a pule before to make sure everything was pono, everything was good. And then we would plant our mea kanu, and then usually there was a pule after for growth and to make sure the plant took good. So he was the one actually that taught me. I remember to get the ground ready, and this will go into tea leaf and this actually any mea kanu Hawaii, but we would use charcoal that was left over from grilling or from outside imu or umu. We would mix that with dirt, and he would use the na'au from the i'a or fish guts. So usually it was fresh, whatever we was catching or caught or somebody gave to us, we would save the guts and we would mix that with the dirt and with the charcoal. And when he usually planted, we would put some pohaku on the bottom, and he always planted mound style. Usually, mostly everything that I planted with him or we planted in our pahale was a mound style, meaning that the lepo was built up around the plant and then down gradually. So that's my dad. That's my earliest remembrance or memories of planting. As far as for tea, so this is our tea leaf from the front yard, and as Noi mentioned, it was mea kanu va'a, or it was brought by migrations because of its importance and because of its many uses. So some of the research that I've done, when we plant tea leaf now, we plant tea leaf by the stalk, or we cut a stalk from a remaining tea leaf plant and then we propagate the tea leaf. You don't see too much people using the seed or flower or the fruit from the tea leaf to plant. And from reading different articles and researching, I think it might be, and just my opinion, it might be because of the tea leaf that was propagated or brought was steered to be this type of tea leaf, or the green type of tea leaf that you see in Hawaii that we have so much of, with big leaves, because of the many uses that you could use for the tea leaf. Yeah, for this particular tea leaf. After a while, the propagation style becomes only this way, where you have to propagate it by, or plant it by stalk. So as you can see in this picture, I took one of the stalks recently, just to show and to plant in our yard. One of the highest stalks I cut, and I try to make a clean cut, and usually I make a clean cut where it joins next to the main main tree, or the main stalk of the plant. Now tea leaf it's fairly easy to plant. You can run into a couple of where it might not take as quick, or harder to. It just depends on your environment or where you're at. So the first step is cutting yourself a stalk from an existing plant, or getting a stalk. And then the next thing that I do is I section it off depending on what style or where I'm going to plant it. You can make it bigger stalks if you would like. You can make it smaller stalks if if that's what you want. If you want it more to start off shorter or smaller, or just depends on what you want in your pahale or in your area. So in these stalks, I sectioned it off. And for those of you that were early enough, you should have received a small stalk in the mail from us. So you guys can go ahead and use that and try to propagate it with the different styles that I'm going to show right now. But yeah, so I cut up the stalk and then I section it off. And then there is one style of planting that I'm kind of showing in this slide is what we call a ku style of planting, or upright style. So if you needed the tea leaf to be at a certain way, if you wanted it only to be upright, then you could plant it this style. What I like to do, and you don't have to do it, is I like to put it in water, or in a bucket of water. Or what I like to do, because I have hydroponics, is I like to put it into my hydroponics, as you can see on this slide, until it starts to take a little, and then I'll take that plant and plant it into the ground. So this is the ku style when it's upright. Now I've seen it done upright, straight like this. I've seen it done at an angle, but anything up like this would be considered kind of like a ku style of planting. The next style of planting is that you see is what we call Hina style, or when you plant it laying down. Like I said, in most of the times when I plant, I put it in water, and as you see in the picture, it's a little deeper container where I can cover about half of the stalk in the water until it starts to show shoots and starts to root, and then I'll take that and plant it in my pahale. Advantages of planting ku style is you might get the plant to be taller and bigger quicker. A Hina style of planting is good if you need all your tea leaf in a kind of like a ʻāina or a line, or if you're planting along a fence line, or if you're planting and you want to plant like in a row type of style. You'll get more shoots that come up from the top, but they'll be short and they'll take longer to grow taller, rather than compared to your ku style of planting. So as you can see in here, I took some of the smaller stalks, I put them in shallow kind of like bowls or saucers, and I filled it up with water. So here again, so once you plant the ku style or Hina style, what I'm waiting for before I plant it into the pahale is I'm waiting for the shoots, what I like to call shoots and roots. I'm waiting for it to root on the bottom like that, and then I'm waiting to see green shoots to start to come out. Now it depends. You can take the stalk and just plant the stalk right in your yard, just like once you cut it from the tree. You just need to keep the plant or the stalks moist. Yeah. So if I plant it like that, I try to water it every day to keep it moist and to get it to the point where the roots will come out. Yeah. So yeah, so this is another picture of the roots coming out from the bottom after. So this is approximately 12 days after I cut it. So I kind of timed it so I could get a better time for everyone. But this is approximately about 12 days after being in the hydroponics, and it starts to show roots. So and then this is the one that I planted coup style, or not planted coup style, but getting it ready to plant for coup style. And you can see from the tops, it's starting to bud, and the roots are starting to kick out on the bottom. There again, you can see those little, I like to call them pu'upu'us, or little pu'upu'us, or little white pu'us that come out. So that lets me know that the plant is getting ready to be close to planting into my pahale. Now, as I said, and then this is another picture of it. You can see on the tops, after about 12 days, it starts to show from the top the shoots. So when it gets to this point right here, this is I was getting ready to plant this as a coup style. And you can see on the bottom how the roots are coming out like that. I usually wait till it's about maybe 2, 3, 4 inches, and then I'll start the roots, and then I'll get it ready to put into the ground. But then again, like I said, there's many different ways to plant tea. This is just one way, and this is just the way that I've done it and been successful with it. But you can also just take it, cut it, and put it in the ground. It just depends on your environment, your pahale, keeping it moist to make sure the roots take and come out. So this is that tea leaf that I just showed you prior. I planted it in a yard. It's been in there for just from the beginning of this, maybe about 5, 6 months now, maybe 7 months. So the picture on the right is it as recent as just like 3, 4 days ago. So they're taking good. Another thing about tea leaf and some of the meakanu Hawaii is that I've noticed that the tea leaf, they tend to grow better when they're planted in like a ohana way, or near each other, not too near where they get choked out, but kind of in a ohana setting, almost like how they used to plant kalo back in our day. Instead of before planting it in rows, we would plant it in mounds, and that's where we get that ohana, that oha from. So I found out just from doing it that the tea leaf likes that. It likes to be planted near almost like its family members, and it'll grow stronger. And actually, when it grows up and it becomes a bigger plant, the roots all intertwine and it becomes like a huge mound, and it comes really healthy that way. That's just through my experience of planting tea or ki. And then just as an example, this is a different type of tea leaf that we've had in our yard. This is what we call, or what it's called, kahuna tea. But the picture on the left, just an example of how easy tea leaf can grow if you give it the right environment, the right amount of water and sunshine. This tea leaf on the left, actually, I had it was growing tall, and it was maybe about 20 feet tall, kind of like similar to the picture on the right. That's about 20, 25 feet tall. And that tea leaf on the left, it actually fell, and I had to cut it up because the ground was too wet and too moist that winter. So the tea leaf fell, and it fell like a Hina style. And all of those tea leaves right there, I didn't plant it on the left. They just sprouted up Hina style. So I have like about maybe 10 of those that's growing now in the backyard. On the right side, I took just one stalk of that kahuna tea leaf, and I planted it in my front corner yard on the northwest corner of our yard. And that tea leaf just shot up. So yeah, so just to show you how easy it is to plant tea leaf, you can plant all different styles, and that's the way I plant it. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. I think e ho'omau ana me kekahi, na kekahi o pio e ho'omau. Mahalo kia hui ana.
Velino me ke aloha ia kākoa pau, o Maui o Kepa Guerrero, ko'u inoa. Aloha everybody. So I would like to share screen right now. Okay. So aloha mai kākou. I'm Maui o Kepa Guerrero, and I'm from Kahalu'u. And I will be talking about some resources and some research that we did to support the presentation, as well as support the guest speakers that just presented. So the first resource that I would like to go over is the Kawlana Mahina Kilo Frame, which we would like to mahalo ʻAimalama and Anake Malia Nobrega, as well as Anake Kalei Nuʻuhiwa, for allowing us to share this kilo frame with you guys today. And so if you registered early on, you received this kilo frame, which has all of the mahina or the po mahina on top listed, and it looks something like this, or the picture on the right of the screen. And so this kilo frame shows all of the po mahina and has the 3 anahulu listed, which is ho'onui, poi poi, and ho'emi, which is the waxing, the full moon nights, and the waning of the mahina. And if you see that white area, there's a square that's drawn out. I don't know if you can see on my screen. This square that is to be cut out, and it's a little window that allows you to use it to look at the mahina at night when you go outside to kilo your mahina, to look at the mahina through this window, and you can almost match it with one of the mahina to tell what night or po mahina it is on that day. And so so there are the 3 different anahulu, or the 10-day periods of the mahina, which is the ho'onui, the poi poi, and the ho'emi, as I mentioned before. And also what was in that packet that was, if you registered early on, was this kilo journal. And this kilo journal is to help you jot down notes and take some observations or kilos that you make as you are observing the mahina. And it's to help you also with how what happens at night and what you can predict that might happen in the next day. And so why are we kiloing the mahina, right? Why would I be talking about the kilo frame? So in olden times, in the Wakahiko, our kupuna understood that there were certain times and days that were good for planting and that were good for fishing, and that were productive days for hana in general. And they based this off of not just observations in general, but also the mahina and the moon phases. And so some good days that I listed on here for planting ki or tea leaf is hilo, which is the first moon night, hoku, la'aupau, kaloa kulua, kane, lono, and mauli. And so these are some good days for planting ki. So if you're deciding to plant the ki and you're gonna plant tea leaf, make sure that you plant on one of these days, because I can guarantee you it's gonna be the best day for planting. And a fun fact, kane was actually in the text. It says that in olden times, people never usually did anything but ceremony and ritual on kane, but it is a productive day for planting tea leaf as well. And so if you're not doing rituals or ceremonial things, you can plant tea leaf on that day as well. And for those who did not receive a kilo frame or a journal, the kilo frame will be dropped in the chat. The link will be dropped in the chat, as well as the Facebook comments. So haveo ina hiki pahaya oe ke kaui ke la lo I loko ka papa kole kole maka Zoom a me ka pukealo mahalo. And so, yeah, this is one of the resources and research that we did in order to help you guys on figuring out the best days to planting, as well as learning about the different pomahina. And if you want, you can also, go research on your own. There's a bunch of different days that you can look for productive fishing or productive planting other different plants like kalo, uala, maia, etc. But yes, feel free to use that, the kilo frame. And so the next resource that I would like to share is Namahele o ke ki Quizlet. And so this Quizlet we created that will kind of specify and go through all the different parts of the tea leaf. So that way, as you're observing and making those observations and writing them down in your journal that was provided, you can kind of talk about the different parts of the key and what you see growing at the time, right? And so I would like to share the Quizlet. So this is our Quizlet. And the first thing is that's shown is the diagram of the key plant. And it'll have these different points on here. And as you can see, as I go through every single one, each point, it'll show the different part of the tea leaf. And it'll show what the term is, as well as the definition. And so you can zoom in and zoom out, however, to see the whole plant and, look through all of these different points that are plotted on the tea leaf. And if you scroll down a little bit, it'll show the term as well as the definition and where on that diagram that point is. So that way, But another cool thing and fun thing about Quizlet is there's a bunch of different ways that you can learn about these different parts of the tea leaf. The first is flashcards. So if you click on the flashcard, it'll show the definition, and then if you click, it'll show the term and the name, and you can go through every single one, and it'll show all the different ones. So you can really play around with it. Quizlet also provides like these little tests and fun games, so you can play this game, which is the matching game. Pretty sure everybody played the matching game before. And so the matching game, it'll show the ki'i of the la'i, and then it'll time you. So, but I mean, you don't have to play by the clock. And then you just, connect the dots. Yeah. And if you get one wrong like that, it'll tell you, heva, and you just go through it. So you can really play around with it, and it's really to help you guys understand more about the different parts of the key, but it's also to help you with learning the different parts. So that way, as you're kiloing or as you're working and watching your la'i grow, you'll understand, this is this is that, this is the mole, this is the lau, and so on and so forth. And so, mahalo. These are just a few resources and stuff that we found to help ho'onui ike and to help provide more information and hopefully enlighten you guys to do more and to watch and observe and to learn more about the la'i. So mahalo.
Nani kahana. Mahalo nui ya oi. I'm going to turn it to Likolehua, and thank you all for being here. And she's going to go ahead and continue to mahalo those who have been with us and have supported us throughout this journey.
Yeah, we'd just like to mahalo our panelists today, Anake Noelani and Anakala Pono and Maui, for sharing their sources and their resources and their ike with us today. And once again, we'd just like to mahalo Oha, Kanaeokana, ʻAimalama for all of the support they've been giving us and helping us support this series that we're hosting. We'd like to mahalo again the Iokepo Guerrero family and their ohana and all that they have shared with us today. We'd also like to mahalo our tech support and our tech group, Kalama Abad and Havel Glasgow, for helping us insert stuff in the chat, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Yes, mahalo. It takes a village to run something like this. And we just appreciate you folks choosing to select your time and be here with us for this hour, we hope, and encourage you to continue to join us over the next couple of weeks. And other ways you might be able to support us as a new organization and in our efforts and growth. We have been invited to represent Hawaii as ambassadors to Florida to support Lilia as she takes the national stage to offer cultural workshops. We are preparing for our team to be presenting at WIPSI in Australia next year. We have lots of opportunities locally throughout the state and globally. And so if you are interested in continuing to support us, we have some Ono smoked meat that will be ready December 11th if you want to help support that. We also have a website, pa'ahawaii808.com. That just recently got launched, so be sure to check that out. We have been partnering and having opportunities to do GoFundMe. It's called, I believe, Give Big Hawaii. And that is also on our website if you're looking to make contributions to help us support the development of our team in our OPO, Papa'alaka'i. So with that, we've also have, you can like us on Facebook. You can check us out on Instagram. We have Mea Ola Mondays. We have Wahipana Wednesdays, and we have Aloha ʻAina Fridays. And we're getting into TikTok. So that's kind of fun. And we know those are opportunities to engage our people worldwide, but also make it fun and inviting to continue to learn. Our Facebook page also is a big one. We're at Pa'a Hawaii 808. And so Pa'a is one word, everything lowercase, and no okinas and no markings. So with that, Liko, you want to send us off with our surveys?
Yeah, so before you guys leave, if you look in the chat, we will send you guys a link to our survey for this webinar series. If you could just fill this out on your own time. And also in the chat, we also have different sources that was given from Anake Noe and her ohana and Maui as well. So just go check it out, please. Save the links to fill out all of the surveys and the forms, and to just check out the sources that we've shared with you today. And just a reminder that next week's webinar is with Kumu Kaiulani Odom and Cooking Traditions with Ki on November 13th, same time, 10 to 11 a.m. With that,
Mahalo. Mahalo. Yeah, so we mentioned the surveys. So you'll have an opportunity to also have access or win some of our educational resources. So with every survey you put in, we won't do it till December, but if you attend more, then you have more options. But as you complete your surveys in December, we will be doing a drawing, and then you'll have an opportunity to receive some educational resources like what you've kind of seen Maui present, and we have much more to come over the next couple of weeks. And we apologize, we only have such short times, and mahalo for those who have posted questions and answers. We will be working to get questions, Q&As. We're working to get some of those answers for you. Again, mahalo to our presenters and to everyone who shared your time with us here today. If we could just take some time to do a short pule and a short pani. Na'aumakua nakuna mahalo nui no kiawa ihuiai. ʻAimalama mau, ikia'mi mau, aloha mau. Mahalo nui a kako, same link, same time. We get to cook next week, so make sure you guys make time to be with us. Kaiulani Odom will be sharing opportunities on how to make different things with ki, and it's always super ono. And our youth team, our Papa'alaka'i team, will also be sharing additional resources to that. So there's nothing else. Nikulehua, mahalo ya'oi for sitting with us. Mahalo again, yakoko, yakako pakahiapau. Mahalo nui no kia wā, e kako o mai a mako, Papahana Aloha ʻAina Hawaii. Ahui ho no, mahalo.